Look, the first thing I need to say about that, and I've been very clear about it, is that I feel that I had an immense fortune with the success of the slap with Le Gifle. I think that it was something that I will always be grateful for, because it gave me two things that are astonishing. One is a financial security, which I never had before, and it's given me for 2 or 3 years now the opportunity to work full-time as a writer. That's a dream for any of us who are writers. But I think with the success came a certain, let me call it a dissonance, where for the first time, you know, I'd been writing for maybe 23 years, you know, that I'd made the decision that I was going to be a writer. There's certain choices that came from that decision, you know, that I was going to work part-time, I was going to choose to live a certain life and dedicate it to this vocation called the writing life. And I'd always known in that process, or before the slap, I had written 3 novels, but also had worked in screenplays, in theatre, in writing essays. And I'd always had, when I was finishing a book, I had the next book there in my head. But the success of the slap completely, because it astonished me, it also scared me. And I think there was the best expression I have for it is an expression, DeLillo used it as a title for one of his novels, white noise, which is that noise the television makes when there's nothing playing. And it felt that I was living in that white noise, and I needed to find a way to go back to writing. I think there's a question that I get, it's very interesting being here in France and in Europe generally, that there is a question that no journalist asks me in France, in Greece, in Holland, in Germany, and that question is, who do you write for? Whereas English language journalists always ask, who do you write for? I think it's interesting that there is that difference. I had never asked myself that question in the 20 years I was writing before Le Gifle. I was writing for myself. I think you can only write for yourself. But I think that question, after the success of the slap, was becoming prominent. And the Barracuda came out of my attempt to defiantly say, I am only going to write for myself. I think because of all that thinking, of all that questioning about what it is that I do as a writer, why I'm writing, I knew that after the success of the slap, that the next book was going to be a little bit like writing the first book again. And with that, a certain fear. But what I needed to also remember was that excitement of when you write your first novel. You never know, you know, because you don't know if you're going to be able to do it. And I had to go back to that state, I think, in the writing of Barracuda. I also, you know, in many, many ways, the Barracuda and my first novel are very similar, and they both feature an angry young man who is inarticulate, who is also dealing with a break of belonging, a break of class, a break of identity. So if Barracuda is like a first novel, the difference is that I started writing it as a man in my 40s, and I wrote it with a whole experience over 20 years of writing. So it's a very strange kind of first novel, because it's both a novel, a raw novel, but also a novel with a whole experience of craft that I've hopefully learnt over these 20 years.